Today we are making a cheesecake, a blueberry swirl cheesecake. A few days on the blog, I uploaded a recipe for a strawberry swirl cheesecake, and I'll make sure I link to that in the description box below. And after I made that and everybody loved it, I knew I had to make a video for it. But my husband, being the wise man that he is, he said, instead of doing strawberries, why don't you choose a different berry for the video? And so he requested I do blueberries, and that's what we're doing today. Oh, can you see? See the cat in the background? Anyway, so this recipe actually has quite a few ingredients. It looks like it's going to be harder than it is, but don't let the ingredient list scare you off, because I promise it really is a super easy recipe. Let's take a look at those ingredients. Okay, before we look at all these ingredients, let's take a look at the equipment we're going to need. I'm going to use a large bowl to mix up the crust. I'm going to use my KitchenAid stand mixer with its large bowl and paddle attachment for the cream cheese filling. And then for the blueberry puree, I'm going to use my high-powered blend tech. Okay, so the crust on this is going to be 2 cups of almond flour, half a cup of Swerve powdered sweetener. You're going to have 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You're going to need a full stick, 8 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 egg, and then about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And here's a quick look at those ingredients if you want to take a screenshot of it. For the cheesecake filling, you need 24 ounces of cream cheese, that's 3 bricks, another stick, 8 tablespoons of butter that is just softened, you do need it soft, 3 eggs, 3/4 cup of sour cream, you need 1 cup of powdered Swerve, about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. You can use lemon juice for this, but the zest really makes it taste a lot better. And then for the blueberry puree, you're going to want 2 cups of fresh blueberries, and then about 2 tablespoons of Swerve granulated sweetener. Now before you get started, make sure you heat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to need to cook in there for about 1 hour to 90 minutes, depending on your oven. It's at a low heat, but it needs to cook for a long time to get nice and set up. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is make that crust. First, add 2 cups of almond flour, 1/2 cup of powdered Swerve, 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And you just want to take that and whisk that mixture together. Then you're going to add 8 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 egg beaten, and a 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract. This you simply need to stir together until it's well incorporated. You're going to take the dough and you're going to put it into a greased spring-form pan. I use a 9-inch pan. And using your fingers, you're just going to gently spread that out across the pan. Once you have that looking good, you're going to set this aside. Okay, now that the crust is done, it's time to prepare the cheesecake filling. And for that, I'm going to bring out my KitchenAid. Let's go check out how the cheesecake filling is made. Okay. This is going to take, again, 24 ounces of cream cheese, 1 tablespoon of butter softened, a full cup of Swerve powdered sweetener, and we're going to use the paddle attachment for this mix. All right, we'll bring the bowl up and start mixing. All right, I'm going to scrape down the sides of this. Now we're going to add our first egg and continue mixing. Second egg. I'm going to scrape down the sides again before I add that final egg. And here we go. All right, you'll notice it's starting to look more and more like creamy cheesecake at this point. Yeah, it's starting to look good. So now we add our final ingredients into the mix. And that's going to be 3/4 cup of sour cream, which sounds kind of weird, but it really helps keep this nice and creamy and keeps the cheesecake from drying out too much. 2 teaspoons of lemon zest and another 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. All right, bring the bowl up one last time. Okay, and that is it. The final bit before we start assembling our cheesecake so we can bake it is that blueberry puree. And I'm simply gonna throw the blueberries into my high-powered blender, throw in the swirl sweetener, and pulse it until it is pureed. We've got the crust made, we've got the cheesecake filling made, and we have got the blueberry puree made. So now all that's left to do before baking is to assemble everything into the springform pan with the crust. So let's see how we do that. We're going to take half of the cheesecake batter and pour it in to the springform pan with the crust. And just kind of smooth that around. Now you're going to take this blueberry puree and you're just going to kind of drop it in spoonfuls into this center part of the cheesecake. Now, before I go on, I am going to take this and swirl it around a little bit just to get it in some lower layers from just the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then now we're going to drop the rest of the cheesecake right on top. I'm just going to kind of smooth this layer out just like the last one. And then we're going to add the rest of the blueberry puree. It might be a little more than what you want, and you don't have to use all of it. I'm always afraid I'm not going to have enough, so I'll make a full 2 cups of blueberries. But that was really almost a little bit too much. And then you're going to take a knife, and you're just going to swirl this. You don't want to fully mix it, because you want kind of a swirl pattern going on in your cheesecake. There we go. That's kind of swirled. So now this is going to go in the oven. And I have on there between 70 and 90 minutes. I would probably just go ahead and start checking it at the 1 hour mark. You want this to be set up and just jiggly in the middle. If it's not jiggling at all, you've already overcooked it. You want to leave some jiggle in the middle, and then as it cools off, it will continue to solidify into the nice creamy cheesecake texture that we all know and love. So in the next hour or 2, I will come back and I will show you the finished product. Okay, the cheesecake is done and it's out of the oven. And one thing that's always asked is, how do you know when a cheesecake is done? Because if you overcook it, it's gonna start cracking. And I'm notorious for overcooking it because I'm always afraid there's too much jiggle in the center. So I'm gonna show you exactly how much jiggle I left in this one so you can kind of gauge about when you should take it out. So let me bring you in so you can look at that. Okay, isn't that pretty? I can't wait to cut into it. So if you look at it, it's got about this much jiggle. So there's a little bit of a jiggle, but there's not much. So at this point, I need to let this cool down completely to room temperature. I don't want to release that springform pan until the cheesecake has pulled away from the sides so that it just easily releases and it doesn't stick to the sides. And then even then, once it's fully cooled down, I like to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. That's gonna let the cheesecake, all the flavors really meld together. It's gonna be set up perfectly and it's just gonna taste better once it is chilled overnight. So once it's done chilling, once I have it out of here, we'll take a slice out of it. We'll see what it looks like. And I can't wait to taste it. I'm very excited. Okay, the cheesecake has been in the fridge overnight. It looks so good. So now we need to release it from the springform pan and then we can cut a slice and taste it. So I'll bring you in closer to demonstrate taking it out of the springform. So before you release it, you do want to take a knife and just kind of gently go around the edges because you don't want it to stick to the sides when you release it. Let's see how that does. There we go. Gently pull that off. And voila, there it is. All right, now it's time for the taste test. You can see the blueberry kind of down in the cheesecake there. It looks so good. This is really good. All right, guys, I will link to the strawberry swirl cheesecake in the description box below, so you'll definitely want to go check that out. And then, right now, berry season's coming up soon. We're going to start having strawberry and blueberry picking season, and this is going to be the perfect dessert for that. Alright guys, I'm going to go finish my cheesecake, and I will see you on the next video.